Good day, everybody. Today I want to talk a little bit about some more grammar stuff, more specifically, adjectives, adverbs, subject pronouns, and object pronouns. I know it sounds a little boring, but this is something that really drives me crazy. So, I want to start off by explaining what is an adjective. By definition, an adjective is any member of a class of words that modify nouns and pronouns primarily by describing a particular quality of the word they are modifying. In more simple terms, these are words that describe nouns or pronouns. Some examples of adjectives are going to be like good and beautiful. So aside from adjectives, let's have a little bit of fun. We can understand that this is my good shirt. Good is an adjective because it describes the word shirt, which in this case is a noun. We can also have that was a quick response. Response is also a noun. And what type of response was it? It was quick. Therefore, quick is an adjective. People get confused with adjectives and the following adverbs. Adverbs are any member of a class of words that function as modifiers of verbs or clauses, and in some languages, as Latin and English, as modifiers of adjectives, other adverbs, or adverbial phrases. We're not going to worry about all that stuff. We're just going to look at it as words to describe verbs. Yes, it can get a little bit more intense and in-depth than that, but we're not going to go that far. So what are some adverbs? We have well, as well as beautifully, or beautifully, whichever you prefer. But on the side note, I see beautifully as like a beauty flea, like flea that's beautiful, and that just sounds weird. But anyway, you can pronounce it either way. So we notice that good is an adjective that describes a noun or a pronoun, and well is an adverb that describes a verb. Keep that in mind. So let's have some fun. Adverbs typically will end in ly, like drive carefully. I'm doing well. These are two things I hear all the time. People say, hey, drive careful. Well, no, careful is an adjective because it describes a noun. I am careful when crossing the street. Careful describes how I am. So we don't want to use that. Drive carefully. I'm doing well. You don't say I'm doing good. People do, but it's well. Trust me on that. So here are your subject pronouns. We've talked about these many times, or at least I have. These are I, you, he, she, it, one, and I've added who. We also have we, you, and they. On the left side, we have singular. On the right side, we have plural. Why is you on there twice? If you've paid attention to anything I've ever written, you're already well aware that in the English language, we no longer have a distinction between singular and plural or formal and informal for second person. We just use you for all of it. On the obverse of subject pronouns, we have object pronouns. Object pronouns are going to be me, you, him, her, it, and in this case we're adding whom, us, you, and them. So these follow the same trend, but at some points we want to use a subject pronoun, and some points we want to use object pronouns. So let's put these all together and construct a sentence. I have a very nonsensical, weird sentence here, but I do have a method to my madness. And here it says, I sheepishly asked the beautiful girl to let my friend and I compliment her, but pleaded that she keep it between her and me. Maybe you notice that this is actually using the subjunctive tense because we can see she keep it, not she keeps it, but that's for another lesson. I think we can already see the point in this because I've used subject pronouns, object pronouns, adjectives, and adverbs all in one large and crazy sentence. So let's break it down. I've added some color here to give us a better idea of what the individual things are. I didn't use articles or verbs or nouns and put those in different colors too. I'm just focusing on what we are talking about today. So we can see in the red I have subject pronouns. Here we have I and she. Remember we saw from the earlier chart that I is a subject pronoun. It starts off the sentence or starts off the idea. I, meaning the person, is the main character or the person doing the task. So therefore, it's a subject of the sentence. So I asked the girl. Next up we have the adverb. I asked the girl is just fine. That is a perfect and normal sentence. But if I want to get a little bit more flavor in there, I'm going to throw in an adverb or describe the word asked. Yes, I asked, But how did I ask? Well, I asked sheepishly, so I was a little shy in my action. It's going to give some more essence to the sentence. So instead of saying I asked the girl, I sheepishly asked the girl. So you get a better mental image. Well, then I talk about the beautiful girl. So I use the adjective because it describes the noun. So what kind of girl is she? Well, she is a beautiful girl. I could have said ugly girl, the blonde girl, the brunette, or the short girl, the tall girl, any type of girl I can use to paint that better picture. Just remember that the adverb modifies the verb, the adjective modifies the noun. So here we have I asked the girl, but instead of just being boring, I'm saying I sheepishly asked the beautiful girl to let my friend and I compliment her. Let's take just a second and look at that. My friend and I. So we have friend is a noun and I is a noun. So I want to compliment her. My friend wants to compliment her. Because we both want to do the complimenting, it's the subject of this portion of the sentence. Because the compliment is done by me. So therefore, I compliment. You wouldn't say my friend and me compliment her because we'll just get rid of my friend for a moment and we'll take it as an independent sentence. You would never say me compliment her. That doesn't make any sense. So therefore, it's I compliment her. But she pleaded that she keep it between her and me. Again, we're going to use she because it's a subject. She is doing the keeping. She's keeping it. So we wouldn't say, but pleaded that her keep it. Nobody would say that. So we want to use she. And then we have between her and me. Sometimes you'll hear people say between her and I, between she and I. Well, you would never, under any circumstance, find her and I put together. Because her is an object pronoun and I is a subject pronoun. You're not going to mix the two side by side. So it's either going to be her and me, him and me, or she and I, he and I. So how do we know when to use which one? Well, again, if it's an object, so somebody receiving it, so I want her to keep it between whom? Her and me. You wouldn't say between she and I because we can't add any additional info and have it still make sense. So if we go back up a little bit earlier where I said I compliment her or my friend and I compliment her, I could say I asked the beautiful girl about my friend and I. Well, my friend and I what? Because if you're going to use the word I, then we have to have more of the sentence. So she is as beautiful as I remember her. You wouldn't say as I remember she. So we want to keep it in the same sentence or in the same structure. Now what I could do is I could say she has always been good to him and me. He and I really like her. So just remember that if you can add more or an additional sentence or another verb to the end of the sentence, you can use the subject pronoun because a subject pronoun needs a verb to survive. If you can't use one with making sense, you want to stick with the object. So let's move on a little bit because I know that was confusing. So if you can add another verb after the pronoun and it still makes sense, use a subject. You can't say just between you and I are, therefore it's just between you and me. Next up, if you want to describe an action or a state of being, use an adverb. Typically, they're going to end in ly. Finally, if you want to describe a person, place, or a thing, use an adjective. Once again, adverbs, verbs, adjectives, nouns. So again, where there's a rule, there's an exception, and we'll use good versus well. Good versus well isn't exactly an exception to this, but a lot of people get confused. So here I have two sentences. This lamb tastes good, and this lamb tastes well. These are both legitimate sentences, but mean two completely different things. So at the top, this is something we're used to hearing or maybe saying. This lamb tastes good. Well, we are saying that the taste of the lamb is acceptable, more than acceptable. In fact, we enjoy it. This lamb tastes good. It makes me want to have some more lamb. The bottom portion, however, This lamb tastes well. Remember that well is going to describe the noun, right? Because it's just how it works, right? I mean, it's an adjective, it's an adverb, it's confusing, right? Well, in this instance, if I were to say this lamb tastes well, that means that this lamb has amazing taste buds. This lamb has a wonderful palate and has the ability to taste different flavors. I would say that a celebrity chef tastes well because he or she has a refined palate and has the ability to taste things that the layperson can't. If you were to say that celebrity chef tastes good, then you just may be a cannibal. Just saying. So when people get confused about good and well, I understand. Good is going to be kind of like, it's in the background. How you doing? I'm okay. I'm doing well. Oh, well, that's good. Well, that is good. It's good that you're doing well. This food tastes good. She does her job well. Now we understand a little bit more? It's confusing. If you want, just avoid both of them. How you doing? I'm all right. How does that taste? I enjoy it. There you go. You've avoided the problem altogether. Okay, that's about it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this little impromptu lesson on some adjectives, adverbs, and subject and object pronouns. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to click subscribe. Thanks.